Well, it's finally October, and this month we're taking a look at films that are Halloween themed or take place during Halloween. First, we have Rob Zombie's directorial debut and the first film in the Firefly series, House of a Thousand Corpses. It's about a group of teenagers who are kidnapped and tortured by a psychotic family during Halloween after traveling cross country to write a book. This film takes place on Halloween, a trend he would later revisit in his film 31 and obviously in the Halloween and Halloween 2 remake. Inspired by 70s horror films such as The Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Hills Have Eyes, Zombie conceived the film while designing a haunted house attraction for Universal Studios Hollywood, where filming took place in 2000. When the studio shelved the film, fearing that it would receive a NC-17 rating, Zombie reacquired the rights, and they were eventually sold to Lionsgate Entertainment, who released the film in April of 2003. The film has acquired a cult following, was developed into a haunted house attraction by Zombie for Universal Studios, which is ironic since they were the ones who originally shelved the project, and was followed by two sequels, 2005's The Devil's Rejects and 2019's Three from Hell. Let's take a look back at Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. October 30th, 1997, two amateur criminals attempt to rob a museum/fried chicken gas station, Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen, but are killed by Captain Spaulding, played by the late Sid Haig, and his assistant. Later that night, Jerry, Bill, Mary, and Denise are on the road in hopes of writing a book on offbeat roadside attractions. Played by Chris Hardwick, Rainn Wilson, Jennifer Jocelyn, and Aaron Daniels, they stop at the Museum of Monsters and Madmen for gas. There they meet Captain Spaulding and go on the murder ride, and learn of the legend of Dr. Satan. Denise then takes a moment and calls her father, played by Harrison Young, who you may remember as the elder Private Ryan from Saving Private Ryan. Keen-eyed viewers may also remember this house from Leave It to Beaver, and the house across the street is none other than 1313 Mockingbird Lane from The Munsters. As they take off in search of the tree from which Dr. Satan was hanged, they pick up a young hitchhiker named Baby, played by Rob Zombie's wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, who claims to only live a few miles away. The car blows out a tire, so Baby takes Bill to her family's house to get a tow truck. Moments later, Baby's half-brother, Rufus, picks up the stranded passengers and takes them to the family house. There, they meet the Firefly family. Otis Driftwood, played by Bill Moseley, Tiny, played by Matthew McGregor, Mother Firefly, played by Karen Black, and Grandpa Hugo. While being treated at dinner, Mother Firefly explains that her ex-husband, Earl, had previously tried to burn Tiny alive, along with the house, after he suffered a psychotic breakdown. After dinner, the family puts on a Halloween show for their guest, and Baby offends Mary by flirting with Bill. After a confrontation, Rufus arrives and tells them their car is repaired. As they leave, Otis and Tiny, disguised as scarecrows, attack them in the driveway and take them prisoner. The next day, Otis kills Bill and mutilates his body for art. Mary is tied up in a barn. Denise is tied to a bed while dressed up for Halloween. And Jerry is partially scalped for failing to guess Baby's favorite movie star. Spoiler, it's Bette Davis. When Denise doesn't come home, her father Don calls the police to report her missing. Two deputies, George Wydell and Steve Nash, find the couple's abandoned car in a field with a dead, mutilated cheerleader in the trunk. One of the 5 cheerleaders who went missing over a week ago. Don, a former policeman, is called to the scene to help the deputies search. They arrive at the Firefly house, and Wydell questions Mother Firefly about the missing teens. She shoots Wydell in the head and kills him. Don and Steve are then killed by Otis when they find more bodies of the missing cheerleaders in the barn, along with a barely conscious Mary. Rob Zombie was excited and even bragged on the DVD commentary that he got to kill Private Ryan. Later that night, the 3 remaining survivors are dressed as rabbits. Otis torments Denise using the skin of her dead father's face as a mask. They are then taken out to an abandoned well. Mary attempts to run away but is tracked down and stabbed to death by Baby moments later. Otis and the rest of the family burn the bodies on a pyre. Meanwhile, Jerry and Denise are placed in a coffin and lowered into a well, where a group of Dr. Satan's experiments break open the coffin and pull Jerry away, leaving Denise to navigate through the underground layer by herself. As she wanders through tunnels filled with mutilated corpses, she encounters a number of mental patients, and finally Dr. Satan himself. Jerry is on Dr. Satan's operating table, cut open and being operated on, and dies as Denise screams. Dr. Satan orders his mutated assistant, the professor, to capture Denise, but Denise outwits him and escapes by crawling to the surface as he is crushed by falling debris in the collapsing tunnel. She makes her way to the main road where she encounters Captain Spaulding, who gives her a ride in his car. She passes out from exhaustion in the front seat, and Otis suddenly appears in the back seat with a knife. Denise later wakes up to find herself strapped to an operating table, surrounded by Dr. Satan and the professor, who survived the cave-in. The movie ends with Denise screaming in horror. It's easy to see how this movie became a cult favorite. It's just batshit crazy. This film is all about the Firefly family. You don't care about the victims except for how they die. Don't believe me? What's the two girls' names? I had to triple check their names as I wrote this. And the guys I only know as the Talking Dead dude and Dwight from The Office. This film comes off as a gory, exploitive, psychedelic Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Zombie wasn't out to create anything or bring anything new to the genre. That's not until the sequel. This is strictly for fans of horror. Sid Haig's Captain Spaulding brings obscene humor that breaks up the madness but keeps with the tone of the film. Personally, I don't think there was enough of Bill Moseley's Otis in the film. Just give him some creepy Charles Manson type monologue and I'd watch that all day long. This is one of those movies that should be on everyone's Halloween watch list. Check it out.